If you're selling on Amazon or are planning to start selling on Amazon, then you better buckle up and prepare for an absolutely crazy year. Things have already started out with absolute insanity, and I only anticipate that it is going to be the common theme throughout the rest of the year, from new title rules to customer behavior changing to TikTok being banned and not banned, and who knows what the future of that looks like. All of these different aspects can have massive ripple effects, not only throughout the entire e-commerce ecosystem, but on Amazon as well. And so in today's video, we're going to be going through what you need to know and you need to do if you want to make sure that you rise in the ranks, that you are found by the right customers, and that people are happily purchasing your products so that you can grow a profitable, thriving business. Whether you're on top and want to protect that coveted position, or whether you are launching new products and you want to make sure that they are found by eager customers, don't worry, I have your back. I've worked with and helped over 2,000 businesses find success on the ever increasingly more complicated world of Amazon. And through that, I have learned a thing or two, but I also have my fingers on the pulse of how things are changing and how brands need to adapt if they want to continue to thrive. If you've been here on this channel for any length of time, then you know I spend a lot of time talking about the way that things are changing and how brands can be aware of and use those changes to their advantage to make sure that you are not leaving any opportunities on the table. So what does all this mean for someone that's looking to grow or start an Amazon business today in this crazy environment that we are all trying to navigate? So before we get into the specifics of exactly what you need to do to grow and thrive, we need to take care of a couple of elephants in the room. First being focus. It is so easy when you are selling online to get distracted by shiny objects. You have your goals, you have your strategy, but then suddenly you're on LinkedIn and you see somebody talking about this crazy tactic, and you're on YouTube and you see this wild and exciting hack, and you're at a conference and you hear people chattering, and all of those are well and good. However, if they are not evaluated and ensure that they align with your strategy and that they're going to get you where you want to go, then they could very well just be distractions that are taking you farther and farther away from your goals. So make sure that both now and continuously as you go through the year, that you are evaluating every single tactic, technique, strategy, tool, and really thinking about whether or not that aligns with what you need to do big picture and today to make sure that you are growing your business in the right direction. The second element is you need to get your ducks in a row. You need to know your numbers. You need to understand your profit margins. You also really need to make sure that you have a strong commitment to preserving the fundamentals, because at the end of the day, tactics and hacks change, platforms change, but what doesn't change is the fundamentals. And the more that you can focus on the fundamentals, the more indestructible you'll be in the face of swift changes that throw everybody for a loop. But you have to know your numbers. You have to be really dialed into all of these different details, because profit margins are shrinking. And so you need to understand things with a fine tooth comb. I've seen so many times businesses crash and burn from not giving enough attention to this. I just want to stress how important this is, because at the end of the day, nothing else matters if you're not able to actually grow a sustainable, profit-generating, cash flow positive business. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, we're going to be talking about 7 things that you must do if you want to win on Amazon today and into the future. Number 1, customer obsession. This is the key. You need customers buying your products in order to have a sustaining business. And if you don't know who your customers are, then you're probably going to be playing too broad of a game. And as AI becomes more ingrained into every aspect of running a business, and as there are more competitors, and as the customer journey changes, and as all of these different things are evolving, your clarity about who your customer is what will make all the difference. This is the piece that will give clarity to you, give direction to what you're doing, will help even identify what marketplaces to be selling on, what social media platforms to be using, the language to use, the kind of pictures to develop. You have to know who your customer is, what they care about, why they want a product like yours, how this is going to fit into their lives, what will make them excited to tell all of their friends about it online. You need to know all these things. The clearer that you are about that, the easier that also all of these other steps will become. Now, this is also a piece of the puzzle that requires a lot of bravery, because when you identify who your target customer is, that is also making a very deliberate, clear choice about who your customer is not. So I understand that this is not something that is necessarily easy to do, but it is so incredibly important. And it's also vital that anybody else that's working on your team, be they a VA or a consultant or an employee, has this crystal clarity as well, because it should be informing every single decision in your business. One tool that can help bring a lot of clarity to this is a customer avatar, which is essentially a full profile of who your target customer is. I have some videos that go in depth about how to do that, so I won't be spending too much time on this, but if you'd like to go in depth about exactly how to do that, I will link those videos down below. So you have to know who your customer is. Now let's think about the next stage of that, discoverability, because you can know who your customer is, but if they don't know about you, then nothing else really matters. So in order to really be thinking about discoverability, we need to talk about AI, because AI is changing how customers are not only searching for products, but also being recommended products by whatever tools and platforms they're using. For example, Amazon has their AI shopping assistant, Rufus, which can give you personalized custom recommendations for products that would be a good fit based on what it knows you like and what you are looking for. Rufus also is becoming more and more integrated into every part of the Amazon marketplace. So we need to be mindful of that and how customers might be interacting with that. Now, one thing that's really important to acknowledge is that there's so much noise right now about how to optimize your Amazon listings for Rufus. And funny enough, Rufus is finally giving people the wake-up call to do the things that I've been saying they need to be doing since 2016. For example, in order to make your images be interpreted correctly by Rufus, you need to be incorporating text into those images, communicating what it's showing or a key benefit or some other important detail. Funny enough, I've been saying the exact same thing, but from the customer perspective. And so we're seeing that through and through, where this is really emphasizing readability, clarity, comprehensively communicating what your product is, what its benefits are, why somebody would want to use it. All of those things that are necessary, but now it's not just doing the job of converting the customer more effectively, but it's also doing the job of educating Rufus about your product in a way that's going to help the AI shopping assistant be able to recommend your product to your target customers. So I can go into a whole video about this in the future, but it's really important that a lot of the recommendations that you're probably seeing about how to optimize for AI are really the same things about how to optimize for the customer. And I don't want you to get too distracted by writing to a computer and losing sight of the fact that if you obsess over the customer and if you write to the customer, then it is also going to be doing the double duty of helping Rufus understand your product in the way that it needs to. But Rufus isn't the only player in the game. We also have other shopping assistants like Perplexity, which Perplexity is its own separate AI tool where you can search the live internet and it will give you shopping recommendations and it will pull in Amazon listings as some of the recommendations that it may be giving to customers. Now, it doesn't pull in full information, but it does pull in things like reviews, though I have seen some inconsistencies at what the quantities that it's showing versus what's actually live on Amazon. It will pull in some overview information. And really importantly, it also pulls in images, which I have a video. If it's not already live, then it will be going live soon about this really crucial, important aspect of Perplexity and how you can make sure not only for this search tool, but for other future AI search tools, how to optimize to really maximize your likelihood of getting those conversions. And if it's live, I'll link it down below. If it's not, make sure that you're subscribed so that you can keep an eye out for that, because this is really a massive, massive game changer. But in both of these cases, whether it's Rufus within Amazon or some other search assistant outside of Amazon, oftentimes customers are going to be completely bypassing the regular standard search results. So for so long, the main conversation about driving traffic to your listing has been focused on how to be number one on the search results page and how to stand out and drive high click-through rate from that position. However, now that we're having these different ways of customers being able to search and find products, that dynamic is shifting. And this is actually placing an even greater emphasis on making sure that you are optimizing the contents within your Amazon listing, not just focusing on driving massive amounts of traffic or trying to hack the algorithm to artificially inflate your ranking. So the way that SEO and discoverability and that whole process is changing is going to be a really big thing that you're wanting to be keeping a close eye on as we continue to progress forward into the future. And I'll be sure to be creating content about any new developments. So again, make sure that you're subscribed and that you're sticking around. Number 3, differentiation. This is all about positioning and branding and being really clear about how your product and your brand contrasts with all of the other options that customers are being delivered, because there are so many options out there. Customers are overwhelmed with options that just having a good looking, nicely crafted listing isn't going to cut it. You need to give customers a compelling reason why they need to choose your product or over all of the other options that are out there. And furthermore, something that's important to take a moment to discuss. So often we assume that an add to cart equals we've won the customer over. However, your cart on Amazon may not function exactly as you imagine it to. Just because a customer has added the product to cart, it doesn't mean that you have persuaded them enough to purchase your product. They might be adding it to cart with alongside a few of your competitors so that they can then evaluate which one they want to choose. Maybe you have not done a compelling enough job, so you add it to cart, then they're going elsewhere, then they're searching other places, then they're trying to get recommendations for what's the best. Maybe they're going and searching on Reddit or TikTok or whatever place that they go to for advice to help further evaluate and identify which one to choose. So don't think that your job is over just because you're getting a lot of add to carts. Your main job is to make sure that you are converting the maximum amount of eager customers. And so in order to do that, we need to be thinking about differentiation through every single layer of your listing. So when you are crafting your images, how can your images have a different look than all of your other competitors? How can you visually represent who your brand is through your imagery so that customers are able to have a really clear idea of what makes you unique and special and different, so that they are eager to buy from you, because that seems like the kind of brand that they're going to be excited to do business with. Then you carry that through the text and your A+ content and your brand story, and also not just being focused exclusively on your Amazon listing, but also thinking beyond. Where are all of the other places that you are showing up online? Your website, your social media accounts, how people on other accounts are talking about your brand. All of these elements are going to influence customers' decisions about whether they want to buy from you or from your competitors. And it's not enough to just have something look good, but you need to help them understand why your product is better than all of the other alternatives. And if you don't do this effectively, then it's going to be very difficult to be able to compete in the way that you need to. You're probably going to rely far more heavily on promotions and coupons and sale prices and all of those things that are going to erode your profitability. So we've been talking very closely to number 4, which is conversions. So obviously all of these different aspects are going to influence how you're able to convert, but your perspective really needs to be on converting the right customers, the ones that are going to have a positive experience, that are going to leave 5 stars. One thing that's really interesting about the Rufus shopping assistant on Amazon is that a lot of the prefabricated prompts about a product. So let's take a step back for a moment. You can use Rufus to get recommendations for products, but you can also use Rufus once you are looking at a product to help evaluate whether it's a good fit for you or not. And a lot of the prefabricated questions or prompts that Rufus is showing you on an Amazon search results page are related to customer experience. So this piece of making sure that you are converting the right customers becomes even more important, because if Rufus is placing a lot of weight and attention on the customer reviews and the customer experience of, does it fit like it says it does? What are the things that they love? What are the things that they hate? All of these elements, you want to make sure that those are positive and those are working in your favor. And so you really need to make sure that you are converting the right customers. So going back to the number one thing is having that clarity and then thinking about, how can I maximize my conversion of those specific people? And that conversion is going to then also influence how you're ranking organically on the search results page when customers take that route. It's also probably going to influence how Rufus is recommending your products. If someone similar to that customer searched and bought, then that's probably going to be a higher likelihood of being recommended through that channel. So all of these elements are coming into play, and you really need to make sure that you are getting this figured out. So conversions influence everything from whether you have enough capital to continue to grow and invest and develop your business in the way that you need to how you're performing with SEO and being recommended by AI shopping assistants, to your reviews. Everything under the sun, conversions are so necessary. So if your conversion rate is not as high as it should be, then you really need to be focusing on what you can do to increase your conversion rate before you get too caught up in social media campaigns or promos or ads and all of these other things. That's just going to be throwing money away if you are not optimized to convert. Number 5, we need to be obsessive about identifying where our blind spots are. And one of the biggest blind spots that I see all the time, in fact, one of the things that inspired this whole video was a conversation that I had on a podcast the other day. And it's a conversation that I have had countless times before about digging into where people are making assumptions that all customers think and operate like they do. I think this may be one of the most common mistakes that I see businesses making, is assuming that their own behavior or their own perspective on things is equal to who their customers are and what their customers are thinking. And even if you fit into your customer avatar, in other words, you are your company's own customer, that customer may still operate in a different way or have a different set of details that they are considering when they are evaluating a product and whether to choose it. So that could be everything from, well, I don't read listings, so clearly nobody else does, to I just buy based on price. So obviously everybody else is just going to choose the cheapest, to the only thing that I care about is if the reviews are high. All of these elements, you are making these broad, sweeping statements about your own behaviors and notions, and those are not always the same as your customers. So you really need to be questioning every single assumption that you make, and to have, if you're not able to do it independently, because it can be really hard to figure those out on your own, then that's where having conversations with customers, sorry, Pickle, my Pickle's dreaming. Imagine he's dreaming of squirrels, chasing squirrels. Pickle? Picky. Nap time is still in full effect, but I think the dreaming has subsided because I woke him from his deep, rapid eye movement slumber. Get obsessive about your blind spots. Maybe you don't like Instagram, but your customers do. Maybe you don't like Instagram, but the person that's actually making the buying decisions in your household does. Because that's the other thing. The end user and the decider of who's actually making the purchasing decision, those are not always the same people. So are you assuming that the person that's reading the listing is the same person that's going to be using the item? That could be a fatal flaw. So there's all different areas where we may be making assumptions that could be sending us down the wrong direction or failing to communicate with another important part of the puzzle. And so making sure that you are vigilant in identifying those and addressing those, that is going to be a massive game changer and something that could really make a substantially positive impact on your business if you make a habit of seeking those out. So number 6 is amplification. In other words, all of the things that you need to do to make sure to get your message out there. So that can be both paid and unpaid. We're talking about user-generated content. We're talking about influencer marketing. We're talking about your own social channels, because those can be an incredibly effective way of connecting with potential customers and curating community. So there are more and more platforms that people are on, I think, especially with all the things that have been happening with TikTok, and who knows what will be happening by the time this video goes live. But everybody is seeing how volatile everything is and how quickly things change. And so that is really making people want to be on a variety of different platforms, which also is piggybacking on number 7, which is diversification. And so I guess it's worth maybe talking about these last 2 points side by side, because they really go hand in hand. So if you want to win on Amazon, you need to be making sure that you are not just using Amazon as a platform to get exposure and drive traffic. You want to be thinking about all of the different ways that you can be advertising your products, that you can be creating content, that you can be influencing people to create content about your products, so that you are not just simply relying on the Amazon ecosystem, but you are driving people to Amazon. You are driving business beyond Amazon. All of those elements are critical, because at the end of the day, if you are simply using Amazon as your one and only sales channel, then you are very vulnerable, because Amazon can change things quickly. You can run into account health issues or suspensions or other issues, sometimes things that aren't even anything that's your fault, that's just bad luck. And so if you are putting all of your eggs in the Amazon basket, then you are playing a risky game. So you want to be thinking about all of the other places that you can be selling your product, be it TikTok Shop, be it Walmart Marketplace, be it through other category specific marketplaces, your own website. There's even a really exciting partnership between Shopify and YouTube that makes YouTube videos shoppable so that customers don't even have to leave YouTube in order to be able to purchase the products that are being mentioned in the videos. So the ways that social commerce are quickly developing, it's giving brands so many different opportunities to really gain the control and freedom so that they do not have to be beholden to one sales channel. But you need to make sure that all of these choices that you're making, you're tying it back to number one, who your customer is. So if you use that filter to make all of these decisions about what marketplaces to be selling on, about what social channels to be really focusing your attention on, about how you're advertising and where you're advertising, all of those elements are coming into play to set you up for a successful year. But don't get me wrong. This is complex. There is a lot of nuance to this. There are so many different pieces that you need to understand, from the content to the branding and positioning to the advertising, the optimizing, the SEO, the operations, logistics of it all. It is a lot, but if you can figure it out, if you can really be focused and not get distracted by all of those shiny objects, then you can make this year a game changer. By this point, you understand how important conversions are, which is why I recommend that you watch the video coming up next, which is my $1 million Amazon listing formula that I have refined and honed to help brands find massive success. So go ahead and click that. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you over there in that other video. Bye.